All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 60 of Third and Wrong, the big 6-0. We're almost at the proper retirement age. I'm Stephen Bowen, out of Calgary, and with me, as always, is Zach Foth and Austyn Longa. We'll go to Zach first. Zach, how are things?
Living the dream, Steve. It's beautiful out. I've been on the deck eating supper for the last 3 days. It's beautiful down here.
You'll love to hear it. And Ozzy, how are things with you? Rubbing your eye? Good?
Yeah, things are good. I've with Zach. I've been enjoying this weather the last couple of days, so just getting out and enjoying the whole squad. And I could use a haircut though, so I'm waiting on the old hairdressers
That's why I'm wearing a hat.
to start opening up. But
Same.
we're holding on.
I got sunburned pretty bad. I was reading on the deck. I was actually reading too, not just playing on my phone.
Beautiful.
And legs and only my left arm for some reason just like got, you see that right there, just burned.
That looks pretty burnt.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like 2 hours I was out there and my skin's like, what the heck is this? Oh, that's sun. We haven't seen that for a while. And then it
Get
just
a
burned.
bunch of the vitamin D.
I was gonna say I never thought that you would burn, Steve.
I don't know, I'm
You've got that
Italian.
Guido skin.
I don't think that's
Mm.
as a half Italian, not racist. Okay.
Well, I'm from a family of Italians too, so I
Fair
hope
enough.
that it wouldn't be.
Okay, good. So this episode, we wanted to tackle some of the trade scenarios. For those that perhaps don't know, and you should know, episode 59, we had our mock draft special with Tomac, and that was a lot of fun. But we didn't do any trades on that one. We just went through 32 as it stood, because it's hard to predict trades. And if we were to try to incorporate that into a full mock, we would have had like a 3-hour episode, would have had to pay for more storage space on Zoom, and we're too cheap to do that. So what we did instead is we just decided to have a quick trade episode, as by the time you're listening to this, it'll probably be just before the draft. So we hope we can get this out as soon as possible and entertain your mind with some scenarios here. So we have 5 trade scenarios that we see realistically happening, and some rationale behind it. And we're starting with a good old bunt here. It's the Seahawks trading out of the first round. As it stands right now, the Seahawks have 6 or 7 picks, I believe 6 now, because they traded a 5th for Quentin Dunbar out of Washington. And what's that?
There's 8. I'm looking
there's
at them.
8.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. No, right. We have the other second from the Frank Clark trade, I think. So basically, with the Seahawks, they've always traded out of the first historically, with the exception of picking James Carpenter in 2011, Bruce Irvin in 2012, and Penny and Collier. Every other year, they've traded out of the first entirely. They haven't kept their original pick in a draft since I think 2010 or 2011. So even if they don't trade right out of the first, they'll probably trade back. Seattle just likes to do that. We have some pretty bad misses in the first round historically. LJ Collier, Carpenter was kind of a miss. Rashad Penny. These guys could still have pretty good careers, but they shouldn't have been taken as high as they were. But no one, like Tomac said last week, no one knows what to expect with Seattle's draft board. It's just a hard. It's a gauntlet. It's a gamble. You don't know. So I think Seattle trades back into the second here, and someone like Gross Matos might still be available. Epinesa could still be available. Like, we don't know how this thing's going to shape out. I've seen names. I've started to see receivers' names that I never would have thought be in the first round start getting like mocked in the first round, like the day before now. Who's that one receiver, Ozzy? Azuz? Ayuk. Okay, I was way off. Ayuk. Aziz Ansari? No, Ayuk. I've seen him mocked there. Higgins, who was thought to be a late second. I've seen a couple mocks with him like jumping up and the Eagles taking him. Like, I don't know where these receivers are going to go, but there's a lot of them. And I think Seattle might see this, and if some of these pass rushers start dropping, they might say, hey, we could probably get this guy in the early second. Let's trade back and grab a 4th, grab an extra 3rd if possible. Any thoughts on the Seahawks trading back? Or are you guys expecting the same?
It's almost like an expectation, like you said, with Seattle. However, like looking at their draft board, Steve, if I was Seattle, but it's always like you say a lot of the first round picks that they've had, a lot of them have been misses. But you guys have a first at 27. You guys have 59 and 64, both in the second round, and you have a 3rd round pick. It almost just feels like to me, like you then go into the 4th, so you have 2 there, you have a 5th and a 6th. So it's like you guys have a lot of draft picks already. I just feel like they don't need to overthink the first round pick this year, because it seems like Seattle always overthinks it. They go need and they reach. But like if we look at it and they jump in there, I think there's some good depth in this draft at the end of the first round if they, like I say, don't overthink it and jump and grab the, one of the more talented guys there. That could be a big hit for you guys. But probably in Seattle fashion, they'll trade back, like you're saying, right, and accumulate, where they do a lot of really good work later in the draft anyways. So I could definitely see that.
I just, like, it was weird. It just all kind of hit me. I think I was watching with Tristan and Brett, and it was the Last Dance documentary with the Bulls. And I forget, the Bulls had the third pick, someone in front of them could have picked Jordan, but they thought, oh, we already have a good, it might've been the Blazers. We already have a shooting guard.
It was, yeah.
And they drafted for need and not the best player available. Like, they could have had Michael freaking Jordan. And then I thought to Seattle, I'm like, how many times have Seahawks like drafted for need and went like, oh, we need a running back because in 2017 Wilson was our leading rusher. We're going to go take Rashad Penny. And you let guys like, last year Montez Sweat go, and you let in 2018, I couldn't even remember who was still on the board, but I think there's still really good talent on the board, like on the defensive end, especially pass rushers that we could have had. And we were drafted for need instead of taking that best player available. So I'm very nervous as a Seahawks fan.
They could have tried their best and traded up to the first overall pick and tried to get Baker Mayfield in 2018 too, and maybe made the Super Bowl. But like, it's just,
we'll get to your Browns after. All right, next trade that we see happening is Tampa Bay trading up. So we mentioned
I got no input on the Seahawks.
Oh, what? I thought you already – okay, never mind. I thought you chipped in there.
No, that's okay.
Nope. Rewind.
I had to get my little jab in there, but no, that's there's not much for me to add as a Patriots fan.
all that just to give us the green light. Thanks, Ozzy. So with Tampa Bay, we mentioned last week, I had them reaching for a tackle, but as we mentioned, Ozzy said that he can see them trading up. You have Brady, you have this window. They just traded for Gronk, which we'll get to later. Austyn, what's it going to look like if Tampa tries to trade up?
Yeah, so I think that this has got to be a lock for happening. If you see how aggressive the Bucs are in assembling a team around Brady. I don't think that they're going to have to go very far up, because I think when you look at the teams who are drafting, that there's going to be at least two quarterbacks taken in Herbert and Burrow, or not Herbert, Tua and Burrow. And then the Lions, they're not going to go. I don't think they really need to go offensive line. So I think that if they trade with the who's at 9? Jaguars, their state mate, the Jacksonville Jaguars at 9th overall, that we've heard that they are looking at trading back, and they're a team that needs a lot of, they need a lot, and they've already got 2 first-round picks this year. So if you can possibly get some more ammunition, whether it's to trade back up in later in maybe like the 2nd round or 3rd round, whatever, I think that they definitely need to take advantage of that. And so if they were to do a trade up, I don't think it would cost the Bucs a whole lot to trade up the 5 spots. When you think about what Jacksonville, as far as leverage, they need so much that the Bucs could just throw what I have here is the first round pick, the 14th overall, a 3rd round pick next year, and then a 5th round pick this year. I think that would be more than enough to move up 5 spots. Yes, like it's hard to gauge the trade value in the first round, because sometimes in some years it might be 2 firsts to move up 5 spots. To move up from the 14th spot to the 9th, I don't think you're gonna look at them giving up a whole lot to do that. I don't think the Bucs want to give up a lot, because they know that after 2 years they're going to have to start retooling anyways. So I could see something like that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And I have one more possible package, including a player to move up. But what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Zach.
You go first, Steve.
Well,
you guys are just itching with excitement.
Yeah, no. I think with the Bucs, it really depends. Like I think I could definitely see them moving up. It depends what that run on the tackles looks like. We obviously talked about the big four, and if like we had mocked last week. If was it Wirfs if he goes to the Giants at 3 or 4?
Or yeah.
4. I don't know why I misremember the draft order already. And we start to see these tackles fly off the board. Tampa Bay might be sitting there as it's getting to pick 5 or 6, being like, we need to get to pick 9 like now, and that's definitely possible. But if all of a sudden the receivers fly off the board first and the run on tackles doesn't start until Cleveland at 10, then they could probably sit back and say, you know what, at 13, we know we'll get someone because maybe they have intel the Jets are actually going to take a receiver when they should be taking a tackle or something, right? You never know what these guys are hearing from each other, but it really depends on what the first couple, it's a kind of a cliche answer. It really depends what the other teams do. But it really actually depends. This draft is as unpredictable as any. And I shared that tweet with you guys earlier in the week where it's like all your mocks, like you have no idea what's coming. Like guys are going to be taken at spots where you think are just insane, but that's just the current climate we're living in right now. Yeah. I think if the run on tackles starts high, like the Giants, and the Giants don't go defense, I think we see them move up. It might even depend on what the Giants do actually.
Oh yeah. Zach, do you have anything to add? I just had a quick point I wanted to add to that.
Just quickly, the biggest thing I see with them is at 14, if they're really wanting to get a tackle, honestly, they should be patient with it, seeing that they're so focused on these 2 years. And you still see a guy like Jason Peters on the free agent market. I don't see why investing capital, and like you said, it might not be a lot, Oz, but at the same token, we've also seen a lot given to move up like a few spots too. So it depends. Trade value, I know that's a shitty answer. It depends what's going on there, but definitely I feel like a patient approach would be better for the Bucs than to give up all of that, because there's still talent on the free agent market for a 2-year need at left tackle. And like there's other guys in this draft that they could draft in the second round, like Ezra Cleveland, I think his first name's Ezra, but yep. Cleveland, who's a second round, third round pick, who would be a great player for left tackle for them there. Or if they get Peters and then have him build behind him, like I just feel like there's a lot of options here to be patient, and there's a good chance that one of those tackles will make it to them at 14. But yeah, just playing both sides.
Absolutely. I also wanted to add, Steve, the run on tackles could be amplified because there was rumors coming out that the Dolphins could be trading up to 3 and then keeping their 5th overall pick and then taking an offensive tackle as well. So if that happens, man, like there could be 2 tackles taken in the top 5 picks. If not, yeah, I guess it would be that. So, and then that's where the run begins, right? And you'll have teams that could go offensive line. Like you've got the Panthers, they could. I don't think they will that high up, but they could. The Cardinals always could. The Jags.
I've been hearing a ton about the Cardinals getting Derek Brown though, like so much.
Defense.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut it in.
No, that's all good. Yeah. I think the Cardinals are a pesky team because yes, they could go defensive line, but don't they need secondary help too? Don't they?
They're still a ways off. They're set at the skill positions, like offensively, but I said they would probably be a playoff team, but I'm starting to rethink that. When I still see some of the needs on this team, I still think of them as like a 7-9 team. They're definitely trending in the right direction, and they could definitely be that surprise team that spoils a lot of teams' playoff hopes. They went 5-10-1 or something last year. I think they can definitely, they're up and coming, but they still have quite a few needs. And I don't know. It really depends on if their head coach is hell-bent on building up that offense before even addressing the defense. You still have Chandler Jones, but I don't know. Using a pick that high on interior D lineman doesn't really appeal to me. I think Derek Brown's going to be really good, but there's just something about it where it's like, you're going to use a top 10 pick on a defensive tackle. Like that seems reserved for something more impactful. And this guy could be like a hellraiser on defense, but to me, I'm not really sold on Brown being a top 10 pick to me.
I wanted to interject, Steve, because I think that when you look at the division, this is not a way of looking at prospects that I would normally go. But when you look at the NFC West and how run heavy all three of their competition are, if you get a guy like Derek Brown who can disrupt in the run game just incredibly, imagine like that boosts his stock up into that, I would say, top 10 range. So to your point, Zach, if I'm going to play the other side of it, like I could see definitely why they would value him there, because you've got the Seahawks who are going to run on first and second down 98% of the time. You've got the 49ers who built their pass game solely around the run and running it successfully. And then you've got the Rams who now they don't have Todd Gurley, but I imagine their kind of scheme is going to stay what it was when Gurley was healthy, now just with Darrell Henderson. So, I mean, this wasn't what we were going to be talking about in for the draft day trades, but that was just an interesting observation.
It really, like all these teams that you have to look at their needs and be like, okay, what are they going to spend on? And then, if you don't have any kind of intel as what direction they're going to go, that could impact whether you trade up or stay where you are. If you stay where you are and it's like the Cardinals just decide, we're going to shore up that offensive line, and all of a sudden you're like, crap.
The Jags are just like, okay, the Cardinals are definitely going Derek Brown here. We just got to trade back. And then they trade back before they find out Derek Brown falls into their laps. So like, damn it.
And they fake a Zoom interruption, like pretending like they're getting technical difficulties. Like, we actually didn't mean to trade that. I heard yesterday John Schneider had to rip out a bunch of walls in his house to make sure he gets a good connection, because I guess he lives in an area in Seattle where like just the Wi-Fi is no good. He doesn't get a good signal. So his entire dining room, I guess, is ripped up, and he has 25 monitors set up in his dining room. So I can imagine his wife is really happy about that.
Yeah, that's a humble brag and a half.
Yeah, I got 25 monitors, and so it's just crazy.
I just remodeled my house for this whole event.
Yeah. Okay, so
Atlanta.
Staying in the NFC South.
Back to the topic at hand.
The Atlanta Hawks. Whew. Okay, focus. The Atlanta Falcons, Ozzy. You have another scenario here for the Falcons that would involve them trading up, because it sounds like they're pretty hungry for a defensive player.
Yeah, you say defensive player, but it's funny because even just today I saw a rumor that they were talking about moving up for offensive tackle of all things. Like they're talking about moving up like really high. That's what the freaking articles are saying. And it's like, okay, so I mean, so don't trust my sources, because we're just the amateur agency. Our sources are just in, they're kind of like incubating right now as we get the Ian Rappaports of the world working in our favor. But anyways, so take this with a grain of salt, but it sounds like the Falcons want to move up quite high. And so with that being said, to move up from 16th, if you're going to move up, it sounds like into the top 5, I would say that's either to the Lions or to the Giants. I don't want the Redskins with Haas King there. I don't want them to miss out on a guy like Chase Young. So I hope that they stand pat, but you're looking at 3 or 4. And so with that being said, I think the Falcons would have to give up obviously the 16th overall, a first round pick next year, and then a 3rd round pick this year. Oh no, a 2021 3rd round pick I have written for the 4th overall pick. So my final conclusion is they trade with the Giants and they give up 2 firsts and a 3rd. Thoughts, boys?
The first name that came to mind when you mentioned that they'd trade up that high would be taking the corner Jeffrey Okudah. I can't see them trading that high and then just taking Tua or something like that. And then Matt Ryan's like, hello. I think Okudah makes the best sense there. We were talking about Henderson's potential shortfalls in zone coverage. Okudah, I don't believe, has those same kind of red flags, if that's what you want to call them. So if they were to move that high, I would almost have to be certain that it would be for Okudah. Zach, what do you think?
Who did you say they were with? Detroit, Austin?
The Giants was my final answer.
Giants at 4. I honestly, even that price tag that you labeled it on there, I just don't even think Atlanta has the draft assets to do that. Looking at like what the Mitch Trubisky trade was for the 2nd overall pick, and like Robert Griffin the third to get up to that top. I guess that's top two. To get in the top four, even, I think it's going to cost you. Like, it's going to cost them the first, the second this year, a first next year, a third. Like, it would just be insane because they're so low on the draft board at 16. Giving up that kind of draft capital for what seems like a pretty good pick they can get at 16, it feels more like a smokescreen. But then you think about it, and you think of Dimitrov, their GM, and he's so aggressive in the draft. So
was he the GM that did that Julio trade, like where he traded with the Browns all the way up to like pick 5 or 6, and then they took Julio? I don't know what the regime was there.
I think it was.
I don't remember 100%. Sorry, but
that's okay. But I think it's been done before, right? We've seen him be aggressive before. Is my point.
And he has been, like, in previous years. I can't think of it, but there were other trades and moments where he went up and got his guy, which I actually kind of, as a like GM, I think that's kind of cool. But it just has to come with a territory. I think that's a long way up the board. And then that's a long fall for New York, and New York needs that top level talent too. But yeah, it's an interesting take. I don't know what to think about. I think Atlanta should sit pretty at 16. They have a lot of options at 16 and a pretty deep first round class. So, but yes, I'm devil's advocate again.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And it's funny because we do, like, you see all these mock drafts coming out before the draft, and you see all these different things happening. And it really just goes to show that nobody really knows what's going to happen on draft day. We're just talking about what we could see as being realistic. In this trade, I had trouble with that trade package as well, Zach, because I didn't know how much it would cost to move up. So for this one, even though I don't fully believe in it, I used the draft pick trade value chart. And it was pretty much kind of, even according to the values of it, I was kind of overpaying. And this is why I don't believe in it, because to your point, you feel like you have to give up so much to move up 12 spots. And for the Giants, they're going to want to you got to wet their whistle to make them want to go back 12 spots. So that's, it's just so interesting. But if they were to do that, it's definitely going to cost them 2 first round picks and then some. And when, to your point about them just standing pat, I think that would probably be the best for a team like the Falcons. Like, the fact that the Falcons are the team that's going to be so aggressive in this draft, just from all these reports, it's mind blowing to me. But anyways, it's such a deep first round for defensive talent, and that's their weakness. So I would be inclined to agree with you and just say, Atlanta, just chill. You might be able to find a Javon Kinlaw at 16th, or you could trade up a couple spots and get a Javon Kinlaw to pair up with Grady Jarrett. That would be a fantastic defensive tackle pairing. That would just be mind-blowing. Or you stand pat and take a guy like CJ Henderson, or AJ Terrell's climbing up, or Christian Fulton at cornerback. Like, you've got those options. So this is just based on the reports that are kind of coming out that I think the Falcons will trade up. But I would totally agree with you at just staying put there.
And on that too, Steve, yes, Dimitrov was the GM who did the Julio trade to Cleveland. Yeah,
he likes to roll the dice, baby. Go ahead.
I totally agree with you too. And just one more quick thing on that too. I agree with Austyn is they got Dante Fowler Jr. as well, and we've seen what he did early in his career. It's not as hot as when he got with the Rams. I think they need to add some more to that D line. I'm totally in agreement with you, because they need to add another weapon for him to get the production they're expecting out of him. But yeah, I'm not going to jump in too much deeper.
Fair enough. The Browns, Zach. I've seen your guys' name floated around as a potential team to trade back. So we've talked about the Tampa and Atlanta trading up, but the Browns trading back. What would be the rationale behind that? What do you see as like the biggest need you want to tackle in the first round? We've talked about offensive tackle last week. And if you were to trade back, what would that look like? Because at that rate, the big four would be gone.
Yeah, man. It's funny you said tackle it. And I'm like, well, tackle's the one we really need to get, but you had said tackle afterwards. It is a deeper class. It seems like to me, it's like one of those things where you got 10, it's like, don't mess this up, Cleveland, just go get your guy and then we'll move on. Like, it's not like we have no picks. Like we have a second round pick after that at 41. We have the 74th pick in the third and the 90th pick in the third. We have some glaring needs. Everywhere else seems to be pretty set on the roster, except those glaring needs. Why not attack one of them, get it off the board at 10 and go from there? Like, we could jump back. Here's what scares me. And this is what I'll say. Denver is the one who's been cited to trade with us at 15. And, I'm like, okay, we could probably jump back there. There's still some talent on the board, but we're in that gray area at that part where the 4 top tackles are most likely gone. I would say probably are gone. And then there's been talk of us reaching for a third round talent at 15. And in Ezra Cleveland, third round, late second round. I like Ezra Cleveland, don't get me wrong, but he's not one of the top 4 for a reason. And reaching at 16 for him and maybe potentially getting like a third or a fourth round pick with it, it doesn't make sense to me. Attack the position, get it, and stay there. But I mean, it's all interesting, and Cleveland's known to mess things up before John Dorsey. So I hope we don't get back into that swing of things. But like the draft is, I don't know what Cleveland's going to do.
It is,
but that's the rumor.
It is pretty unpredictable when I think about it. I forget that you guys got rid of Dorsey or mutually parted ways. Sorry. He had some good drafts, man. Like, he really hit your guys' needs. I don't believe he reached at any point. I mean, if you want to think what you will about Baker, but they saw their guy and they went for him. He strung together some really good drafts and managed your cap well, and he's gone. So now who's your current general manager now? Is it that analytics guy?
Andrew Barry. No,
okay.
He was with us in 2018, and then he went to the Eagles. He's 32 years old, and he said he is going to be aggressive.
Ooh.
So I'm like, all right, we got the youth vibe here, and we're attacking it. So hopefully, I don't know. I feel like at the point where we are with our roster right now, let's get the kinks out, get the talent in there, because we want to be I know it's crazy to hear, but we want to be a Super Bowl contender. Get the good talent that's going to bring us there. Don't sit back and, wait for things to come to you. Go get it.
Yeah, don't take Ezra Cleveland at 15 if you were to trade back. Take him in the second round where he belongs to go.
Right.
Aussie thoughts on the Browns?
I don't think it would be a smart move for Cleveland given the state of their roster. Draft picks are meant to build your team up with talent and hopefully get some guys that you can develop. Cleveland's got the talent. As far as their roster is concerned, they should be in a Super Bowl window right now. They have some but they've got that need at tackle. And then I don't know what the next need is. Linebacker, safety.
Both, and then maybe wide receiver.
And maybe wide receiver if you want some depth behind Jarvis and Odell. But so let's simplify it and just say safety, linebacker, and tackle. That's 3 positions. If you can take the best or one of the best players at those positions at 10, and you've still got, you said you had, 2 picks in the second? Or 1?
We have 1 in the second,
2 in the third. You've got picks in these, day 2 picks are pretty good, pretty valuable. So you've got 3 there. You've got your first at 10 overall. I was looking at the trade that the Steelers made to move up to 10 from 20 last year. All it took was the 20th overall pick, a second round pick, and a 2020 third. So the Browns would be looking at probably less. Sorry if you can hear the dogs.
That's
so
Jasper.
You'd be looking at less for what? When your roster is that good, what do draft picks do you? And you've, as a Browns fan, Zach, you've experienced the frustration of just constantly trading back to get draft picks. Now you have the talent. You've got an all-star roster. You've got the players there and the means to kind of build this Super Super Bowl window into something. So I don't think that I would agree with it. But as I said before with the Falcons, if you did trade back, you still would find talent there on the defensive side at least. I'm not sure if at tackle you'd probably be reaching a little bit with that run that we're suspecting. But I just think you take the best player at 10 and hope for the best at that point and just try to hit with your draft picks.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. The one other thing quickly on it is there's some safety depth at the end of round 1 and 2. So if we were able to tackle it in the sense where we would be able to get a one of those top end safeties late in the first, and then maybe Ezra Cleveland in the second, then that's a little different. And it feels like the linebacking core, it's built on rookies right now from last year. Sione Taki and Wilson, both tons of potential, but we got BJ Goodson from the Packers, who had one season his most tackles was like 34 and was a 2-down linebacker. It's like we need like a veteran there, so it's like, Clowney, please come to us. But
don't like that. Do you guys run a 4-3 or a 3-4?
We run a 4-3. So
yeah, he'd be your end, but still it'd be a great addition for you.
Well, man, here's another thing. I don't want to jump into it too
I'll jump into it. We're right here in the muck.
All right. I at 10 though too, I wouldn't even hate them getting help with Myles Garrett at the front there, like Chase on. I know it's never been mocked or anything, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, you build up a front like the 49ers have, and your secondary, your linebacker, everyone looks good because they're just killing everyone in the backfield. And we have Myles Garrett. Like, don't put everything on him so everyone else looks good. It's like, give him the best situation for him to be defensive player of the year. Like, I don't know. We could build something. So he's 23 years old. Think about that. Like we could.
Garrett's 23.
Yeah, we could build that for like, or 20. He'll be turning 24 right away, or he just turned. But he's 23, 24.
That's nuts, man.
Like, yeah, and it's like we could build something special on defense here. I'm always one to build the front seven and get to the quarterback, but it's an interesting one, and I just hope Cleveland doesn't mess it up.
Yeah, I actually just thought of something. If I would be down if they traded back to 15, for example, got those extra picks, and then flipped those picks to Washington for Trent Williams. Boom, you address your tackle need at 15. You could even trade back again. Like if you want to go for like an Xavier McKinney at safety, you can trade back again possibly, or just take them right at 15. But then you've got those two needs met. Boom, Cleveland Browns versus the Bucs in the Super Bowl. See you there.
Okay.
That would be so much fun.
I forgot to mention actually, there's reports that Washington has some packages in place for Trent Williams. So we'll see if the trigger gets pulled on any of those. But
yeah, it's got to be one of them's got to be the Browns, because they have been in contact with the Browns for like the past month. It's like Trent Williams and the Browns have been in contact. Trent Williams and blah 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 with Cleveland. It's like, y'all better get it then.
Browns get Trent Williams, Jadeveon Clowney. Who else?
I'd hate it. Well, not for the Browns. I just don't want to lose Clowney. Okay. Last one is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, when they traded for the 13th pick, I thought it was like a foregone conclusion. They're taking CeeDee Lamb there, right? But now there's rumors that they might trade out of the first round entirely with their 31st and their 13th pick. I've heard that's the chatter. Brandon Paniker, a 49ers fan I follow on Twitter, he was saying that he can kind of see it where the 49ers trade back from 13, acquire a few more second or third round picks, and then take Jefferson. So obviously everyone's seen Jefferson mocked to the Eagles at like 21. So trade back just before there, in that 18 to 20 range or something, and then potentially take Jefferson there, who plays in the slot, needs to kind of get a little better at playing outside, but seems like the kind of perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense in that West Coast style. He's not going to be the guy that's going to, get like a Ruggs or something, but he has sure hands and he can fit in that slot role pretty well. And then you can acquire more picks at that rate as well. And then if you trade out of 31, then you're just rolling in picks, which I don't know if would make sense from their perspective. I feel like they're on that window right now where they should be taking guys that can just throw haymakers and be, game breakers for them and get them over the hump. So I'm questioning the validity of them trading out entirely. I could see them keeping that 31st pick, but I could see them trading back from that 13th pick and just padding their draft a little more.
I would actually, when I first read this in the doc, I was like, okay, really? Like 49ers? Because I have the same philosophy that I just talked about with the Browns in terms of like, you've got that window, let's just get the best players. And like you said, Steve, but one thing I would be interested, that would be a great fit, Justin Jefferson, because everybody wants to see CeeDee Lamb in the 49ers because that would be a perfect pairing. Just because CeeDee Lamb is the most overall or the best overall wide receiver in this draft by some accounts. So that would be nice. But yeah, if you can trade back, get some picks, my theory would be that they would trade that 31st pick to the Colts for Malik Hooker, who is apparently on the trade block, and shore up their safety spot. But because that would be a reason why I could see them trading back is to get those picks. So that way you have those like second or third round picks, and then you can trade that 31st and get a really good player. So
everything's turning up. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's all happy.
Yeah. But I think that would be fine. I would like the comment of trading fully out of the first would just be ridiculous for having just gone to the Super Bowl. But yeah, if you trade back and still get a guy who's going to fit Shanahan's system in that offense, why not? Let's go.
Yeah, I see both you. I don't have much else to add with different scenarios. I like both those, but the biggest thing for me, looking at their draft board, they have the 13th pick, the 31st pick, and then all the way to the 5th round they have a pick. So so trading out and acquiring some second, thirds, and fourths would be, for like, man, if they got Jefferson at whatever you said there, Steve, 19th or something, I really like Jefferson. He's one of my favorite wide receivers in this class, and would probably be a top receiver in many other classes. Just this class is insane. I like those scenarios to get a few more picks in the second and third and so forth. But, you also got the 13th and the 31st pick. It's weird looking at that because it's like they're top heavy with 2 first-round picks after going to the Super Bowl. But then after that, it's like, now we got to build depth at 5, 6, and 7.
Someone's got to play special teams.
Yeah. I didn't actually see that. So that just me being a schmuck. But yeah, that's a good point, Zach. You definitely want to fill out the full draft rather than just kind of go top heavy. But the point remains. Go swing for the fences.
Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, I didn't put this in the doc, guys. I don't want to I don't want to put you on the spot, Zach, but it's kind of exactly what I'm about to do here. We've all released our top 8s, and I think yours is fully out now. We have our number 1 quarterback posted. We have a few more. I have 1 more receiver. Ozzy has 2 more D linemen to post. So one thing, Zach, you had Burrow at number 2, and you have Tua at number 1. And there's been a little bit of pushback in the comment section. I want to give you the floor because it's, we have everything in the writing and the caption, which people should be reading all that, not just looking at the number and the headline. Read the article, read the caption. But do you care to elaborate on your stance that you have Tua as the number 1 quarterback in this class and Burrow number 2? Because I know people were taking it as that you were disrespecting Burrow, and you still think Burrow's going to have a really successful career, but I'll let you take the floor just to kind of clear that.
Yeah, to jump in, I really, really like Burrow. So people, by putting him at 2, they did take offense to that, which I understand off the top of it, because Burrow is going to be the number 1 pick. It would be very shocking if he wasn't. Burrow had the best collegiate season we've ever seen. 60 touchdowns, over 5,000 yards. It was absolutely insane. And I really like Joe Burrow. And I also noted in there, I think he is a Pro Bowl talent if he is put in the right situation. Now, the thing about Tua that put me over the top for him is the only leg against Tua, the only thing that is against him is his injury history. If you go back to when he made it to 2 separate college championships, he had an 8-to-1 TD to interception ratio. He's dealt with different players who have come in and come out of the collegiate ranks to either the NFL or obscurity, whatever had happened. He always seemed to get it done and make it to the top level every single time, other than his hip injury this year. Going into that, he had 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and he still had 5 games left. He was going for a historic season himself. But we've seen that from him from 2 separate seasons prior to that as well. The consistency is there. He has the it factor, as I would say, making it to championship games. His anticipation's great. Even as when you get to something simpler like the RPO, the guy reads the field perfectly. He's not the fastest guy, but he definitely uses his feet. His feet in the pocket are like Drew Brees. And that is saying a lot. I love Drew Brees. Drew Brees is one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks. And to get a compliment like that at the collegiate level that's pretty good, man. Joe Burrow's special, but people also need to sit back and realize everything was perfect, man. That offense that he was running with, I forget what the number was, but majority of that offense is going to the NFL. They all came at the perfect time. And if you ever get a moment, I think everyone should take a step back, go take a look at Joe Burrow's collegiate career before his absolutely perfect season. I just have a belief it's a good showing that he developed that quickly to that point. But, you know, he's the perfect size for a quarterback. He's the perfect everything after the perfect season. And I totally understand that. I think he's going to be great. Tua's just done it more consistently for a very long time. And he's the mold of a quarterback who's going to come in and be successful right off the bat with whatever team. And I think actually it's even better for him that he is now the second or third quarterback taken, because he potentially will be put in a better situation than the Cincinnati Bengals.
The
and
Patriots.
that will also help too. If he goes to the Patriots, I'll cry.
Yeah, that'd be awful. No, really well said, Zach. And I wanted you to have a chance to kind of explain your points, because again, people look at the number 1 and number 2 and they're like, oh my God. But it's
I got some flack for that.
Yeah, really well thought out though. And last week, who was the first person that came to mind when we said his NFL comparison for Burrow? It was Matt Ryan and Tony Romo. Well, does that sound like a first overall pick to you? Not to me. Very successful quarterbacks in their own right. I mean, comparisons are comparisons, but Tua's have been Russell Wilson and Drew Brees.
Right.
It's those injuries, right? But can you call him injury prone? I don't think that's exactly fair. A dislocated hip or a broken hip's a pretty freak accident.
Well, he had an ankle injury the year before, so it's like they're lingering. And
Deshaun Watson,
exactly. That's the thing. Deshaun Watson had a torn ACL. Didn't he have twice. 2 torn ACLs in college, and then he gets one in the NFL?
Yeah.
And now look at him; he's freaking dicing defenses up. So, yeah, Zach, I think that you're totally fine saying that. I was going to challenge you a little bit on the injuries, but yeah, you brought up my guy Deshaun Watson and just totally disarmed me. So I can't even bug you anymore.
I should have said injuries. I think I did say injuries, barring obviously we want to keep everyone to keep healthy, but that's a big question mark, and he might fall. I heard people say he's going to fall out of the first round, or not first round, first 10, and I was like, holy man, Tua is very special, very special. And take your chance on someone like that, because he could get you to a Super Bowl if he's in the right situation, man.
Can you imagine if Tua fell to the Browns and you guys are just sitting there like,
Well, Zach, we got
Biker. If that happens, what do you do? What do you want? Do you take your number 1 quarterback of this draft, or do you just...
How do you move on from Biker Mayfield, man?
We can't move on from Biker. It's the Biker Redemption Tour.
That's right. Now. I love Baker Mayfield, man. What a cocky douchebag. I mean that in the nicest way. I love it. That's what I love.
He kind of dressed like him too, so.
Oh, okay.
I hope Baker comes on here one day. Sorry. I would love it. That's what I mean.
Speaking of dressing up, quite a few new teams have gotten uniforms, or quite a few teams have gotten new uniforms, not new teams. So we had the Chargers just release theirs this week, the Falcons, Buccaneers, Patriots, and Browns. And I think the Rams are going to release theirs, but they're not out yet. So for a more lighthearted topic, guys, how would you rank the uniforms that came out? I'll go first. I think the Chargers are my favorite. Then the Buccaneers, the Browns, the Falcons, and the Patriots.
Oh, Steve Bolin, get out.
So the Chargers powder blue is top notch. That's beautiful uniform. That was awesome. And the yellow pants, blue pants, whatever you want to wear, white pants, they all look good. Okay. The Browns love their simplifying things, taking away like all the extra stuff and just getting back to the basics. And then they also kept their color rush. I'm happy with that. Buccaneers, again, same thing. Like it seems like Nike, when they first came out in 2012 with the contract, they just went like, we got to impress the hell out of everyone. They thought everyone wanted to have like that Oregon Ducks kind of flair to them. And then everyone's like, what the hell is this? And they've all scaled it back. And the Falcons, same thing. The black jerseys look real. I like all their kind of combos except that gradient one. And I wasn't a big fan of that. They look like high-waisted pants anyways. And the thing I didn't like about the Patriots is that I wish if it had like silver pants with it or something to mix it up. They don't strike me as a team that like, the Seahawks wear all blue and it works. Like that's their monochrome. It works for them. And other teams it works for when they wear the same color pants and jersey. The Patriots never struck me as that team. And like when you're missing the silver out of there, it just doesn't seem like the Patriots to me. It seems like someone else. And maybe it's because it's a new era and Brady's gone and it's the new decade and everything, but something was missing from it for me. And I wanted to like them. And I like that all white look. That's pretty clean, but I just wish there was a little more to it. Maybe like silver or red pants. I don't know, something different. So that's how I ranked them. We'll go to you, Ozzy, since you had the most contested ranking to my rankings there.
Okay, well, I'm with you on the Chargers. All 6 of the Chargers sets are just freaking flawless. Like I would want the Patriots to adopt something like that, but I wish like freaking can't. And then I would go with this one's going to be biased, okay? I'm not even going to hide it. The Patriots, I love the color rush, and now that they're the home jerseys, fantastic. Let's go. And then I would go with the Bucs, just because the Bucs, I think that they did a really good job there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to give – well, that too. No, I'm just kidding. They actually are pretty clean. And then the Browns, they don't get third because there's still brown in their jersey. And I hate freaking brown as a color in a jersey. But they still beat out the Falcons. I think the Falcons is just kind of the most awkward of them all. You got the giant atoll right up there.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And I mean, yeah, they're just kind of like the Bucs, but just worse. So I would just so that's my my power rankings right there.
The Falcons throwback is what saves it all. Honestly, they should have went that with their full time, but I digress. Mm-hmm. Zach, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm a little biased here. My brownies are my favorite.
Okay.
I was so scared they were going to go way too traditional, but I loved our modern ones. The 2015 and the 2019 uniforms are my all-time favorite Browns. I like the modern twist, the insanely modern twist, but I like this throwback feel with the modern twist on it. I think it looks great. I just have nostalgia with the Browns and stuff, so it's my favorite. My second one, you're all going to be like, oh, it's the Chargers. It's not. It's the Patriots. I love, sorry, Steve, the color rush blue that you guys have as your home now is one of the best uniforms in the league. I actually love it. And I love the all whites. I think like I'm so happy they got away from the Patriots shitty ones from the past generation. I hated those jerseys so much. These feel fresh and different, and we can move on from the Tom Brady era and just be like, the Patriots are a different team now. People can maybe in 30, 40 years start to follow them again and respect like everything. Like it's going to take that kind of time to not hate them anymore, but here's a start. Next would be the Chargers. I love the powder blue as well. They're beautiful. Those yellow pants were interesting as well.
Fire.
Yeah. And then the last two are kind of interchangeable for me. I don't hate them, mind you. They're just out of all of these, Atlanta and the Bucs are kind of just there for me. I as you guys already know from me saying this, I really do like modern looking uniforms. I'm not as traditional with them. That's why I like the Seahawks. I like the Bucs with the freaking alarm clock numbers on them. I loved all that stuff. So, they went a little bit more traditional, which it looks clean and all that, but yeah, they're 4A and 4B or whatever.
I gotta explain to our viewers on YouTube why I was cheering for Zach going for the Patriots. It wasn't because he went with the Patriots. It was because he put the Patriots second in something that was positive. I have spent many years as Zach's friend, listening to Zach not just explain his detest of the Patriots in all fashions. So to even just get a jersey praise, I am
baby steps, man.
right now. Baby steps, yeah. Next, he's gonna be cheering for Jared Stidham.
No, that's
we'll see about that.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah.
One last little tidbit of news, guys. Robert Gronkowski has come out of retirement, and the Patriots shipped him to the Buccaneers and a 7th, and in return got a 4th-round pick. I don't know what to think about this, man. So it sounds like Colin phrased it where, Gronk wasn't tired of football. He was tired of Bill Belichick. And it's like, ooh. And same with Tom. Maybe he was just kind of done with Bill and wanted to kind of forge his own path. But, we're starting to see now Percy Harvin might want to go play with Tom Brady, and he's thinking to come out of retirement. It kind of reminds me of like the big three in the Miami Heat. Like everyone just wants to go join this squad now. And it's crazy to me. But you know what? Gronk's 28. He's had a year off for his body to recover. They still have OJ Howard and Cameron Brate. I think one of those two will be traded, probably Howard, but you still have Cameron Brate there. And then you also have those other receiving weapons and Goodwin and Evans. Guys, are the Bucs Super Bowl bound? Are they Super Bowl contenders? I won't say like, do you think they'll represent the NFC in the Super Bowl in February, but what do you think's the ceiling right now for the Bucs as far as how far they'll go, and what's the floor?
Zach, I'll let you go first. I've got some stuff to say.
Okay, yeah, let me jump in quickly because, of course, they're Super Bowl contenders. People need to, like, if you're not even saying that they're, like, a contender to go to the playoffs, like, I've heard that. Like, I understand the doubts, and I do have my own doubts. And, Super Bowl contender, I think they're on the outskirts or just within that kind of phrase there. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I have my doubts. We were saying Bruce Arians, Brady, we're not sure of the system fit. Things like that do matter in football. It's not so much like basketball. You need to create a system and you need to be fluent with each other, but you can kind of pick and go a little bit. In football, you need 11 guys working on the same page from the whistle, keep going, not saying you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one star doesn't
chemistry is needed.
Dictate the whole. Right. And I think it's going to be hard for the Bucs right off the bat to go into the NFC and just destroy everyone right off the bat. But as Colin said, Gronk is kind of like his pacifier. I was giggling about that. I'm like, oh yeah, he's coming in here. He's going to be their check down guy. And not to correct you or anything, Steve, I think Gronk's 30 now actually, or almost 31 even.
Damn.
So yeah, he
turns 31 next month.
Okay. So like he's had his injury problems, but maybe he's a little healthier. He was wrestling for a bit there. So it's just interesting. I do think you have to put them in that Super Bowl contender. Obviously, Brady's always that fierce competitor with all that talent around him. Even if he has a noodle arm next year, I think he's smart enough to get something done. Now, do I think they're going to win the Super Bowl? That's a whole different question. So go ahead, Ozzy.
Yeah, the short answer would be, of course, they're Super Bowl contenders. I said that they could be Super Bowl contenders a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Brady joining the Bucs. That was before Gronk, obviously, and you still have Cameron Brate. I think OJ Howard's probably as good as gone, but then with that skill position group, it's just amazing. I would be hard pressed to say that they're not going to make the divisional round at the very least. But but as far as, I just wanted to add something too, because there is a lot of crap going on Twitter about Patriots fans being upset that we traded Gronkowski. What the hell is the matter with you people? Like, we traded a guy who is never going to play a snap for us again. Last year, he had zero value for us, and we get a 4th round pick. And people are upset that we traded this guy. What would you
play for you
rather we
guys.
do? Yeah, he wasn't gonna play. Would we rather be petty people and just freaking let him sit out this year and not have a contract and not have a good time? No, we got a 4th round pick. We gave up a 7th. What the hell's the matter with these Pats fans? But anyways, that's
Seahawks. When we traded Lynch to Oakland, all we got was a 7th in return. We just did it out of like, go play for your hometown and enjoy the last couple of years of your career. He's done enough for Seattle, and then he still came back and was our starting running back in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's the right thing to do, and I think you guys did the right thing by him. And he wanted to go play with his best friend Tom. And poor Jules, though, what's Jules gonna do? He's got to play with Stidham.
Yeah, I think there's some talk about him obviously going there and joining everybody's
Not
team.
Jules. Oh, if Patriots fans lose Jules, man.
Well, I mean, I think there's too much dead money this year for us to trade him. I have to go back and check, but we had just signed him to an extension last offseason, and we've got $1 million in cap. Like, we don't even have enough for our draft class. So
that's so brutal.
I can see Jules there, pen in hand. He's looking at Tom. He's like, "You're not going anywhere, right, Tom?" He's like, "No, man, Pats for life." He's like, "Oh, 3-year extension sounds good." Now he's just like, "What the hell?"
I'll be your Jules for life, Tom.
And then Tom's like, "I'm not going to be."
He's like, "I'm out of here." Screw this guy. 34-year-old receiver.
If we could make it work where somehow, like, I'd have to look at it again. Maybe I'll pull it up here. But if we could make it work that Edelman doesn't count it that much against the cap this year, if we trade him, then I mean, why not? Like, that'd be freaking. It's already exciting. You've got Gronk and Brady that connection, and then you've got Brady throwing to Mike Evans, who, like, people forget is really freaking good. And Chris Godwin, who I think was a Pro Bowl receiver last year.
I said Goodwin. My bad.
Like, come on, who wouldn't sign up for that? Let's go.
Yeah, I think their ceiling is a Super Bowl. I think their floor is a wild card exit if they were to run into a really good team. And, there's 7 teams making it this year. So for that 7th seed and has to play like the 2 seed San Francisco 49ers, I'd be like, oh, on their part. But I think they can definitely make a run. I'd be shocked if they weren't in the divisional round, actually. So I'm putting it out there before the draft even. And you guys were as well. So, yeah.
I just looked it up. So if we trade Julian Edelman after June 1st.
It's Jules, not Julian Edelman. So.
If we trade Jules after June 1st, we save $7 million on the cap.
Wow.
So if we cut him or trade him now, if we traded him now, we'd only save 4.3. So we could save $7 million if we trade him. Wow, we could see Julian rejoining with the Bucs.
God, no, I definitely won't help cheer for them, man.
Crap.
Too many mouths to feed.
Yeah,
too many mouths to feed at that point, man. I believe in that. Trust me, with my Cleveland Brownies.
Yeah, well, that was another thing too. People wanted to compare this Bucs offseason with the Browns of last year, but people forget. Like, I kind of wanted to jump in that boat very briefly because I want the Patriots to obviously succeed. But the Browns had a first-year head coach, unproven, and that's all it needs to be said. Like, we saw how that played out. There was no discipline from week 1 on. I'm sorry, Zach, but now you've got some discipline.
That's truth.
Bruce Arians, while he is known more as a loose cannon, and he's not afraid to say he's not afraid to be under the spotlight a little bit. I don't think that he's that kind of coach that's gonna let this blow up. But I mean, we say that about every time there's a dream team scenario. So I just don't think that this is going to be a 2019 Browns situation.
No, I don't agree with that comparison. I think, there's, like you said, there's too much experience on that team for that to happen. And I think Gronk's probably just grateful for the opportunity to be playing football with Tom again. Like, sounds like that's what the breaking point was. He took a year off. He didn't want to play in New England. He didn't have his passion for football. It's back, and he's probably going to be really grateful. And I think he'll fall in line pretty quick. And everyone else on Tampa Bay is going to be pretty fired up that they're an actual contender. This team hasn't made the playoffs since 2007. So it goes to show that this franchise desperately needs some kind of shot of life in it. Guys, I think we're almost pushing an hour here, so we'll start to wrap things up. We're going to try to go live during the draft, whether through Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. So I got to figure out how that works through Zoom.
Keep
I
you
think you can go
guessing.
through Facebook and YouTube on here, Zoom, but we can only go Instagram's on its own. So we'll figure something out. Stay tuned to our social medias. We'll definitely be advertising there where we're going live. You can find me on Twitter at SteveBolin22. You can find me on Instagram at SteveBolin_. And please follow our main social media pages, Twitter, especially Instagram. We've been posting our top 8s there. Lots of great content coming out. We're really, really pumping it out now. And for our Canadian football fans out there, yes, we will get back to it. The draft has just been very time consuming. We have a pretty cool interview set up in the near future here that we're going to surprise you with. So we're really excited to roll that out. And so there will be CFL talk and Canadian football talk back on the way. But for the time being, we're going to crush this draft and all hell's going to break loose. You know, connections are going to be lost through Zoom. General managers might be fired. Who knows what's going to happen? I'm excited either way. So, Zach, where can the fine folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Zach Foth and on Instagram at ZachFoth_.
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
Living the dream.
Ozzy, where can the fine folks find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AustinPaul_. That's Austin with a Y, not an I.
Not an I.
And go check out the amateur agency page as soon as you hear this, because my number 3 dropped while we were recording. So go check it out, you schmucks.
Ozzy, you're telling me you didn't have your undivided attention this entire hour?
No, I scheduled it to post.
How do you schedule a post? Do you use a different app?
We'll take that off the air. Yeah, I do.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I guess it never hurts to learn something new off the air. Thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the draft. Hopefully you join us, and Godspeed.